Have you ever woken up and felt completely empty? Not just tired, not just sad, but like your entire soul has gone quiet. Like you've lost something not outside of you, but within you. Maybe you can't explain it. You look around at your life, and nothing seems wrong on the surface. But deep down, it's like something's been taken from you. Or perhaps something inside you has broken open. You don't feel like you anymore. But strangely, you don't even know who you ever really were. We all go through pain. We all have dark days, heartbreaks, disappointments, and struggles. But there is a kind of pain that goes beyond the normal waves of human suffering. It's not about one thing going wrong. It's about everything falling apart. Everything you believed, everything you thought mattered, everything you built your identity on. Suddenly, none of it makes sense anymore. And this, my friend, this may be the beginning of what mystics and seekers call the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul isn't a poetic phrase. It isn't just a metaphor. It's real, terrifyingly real, uncomfortably raw, and spiritually sacred in ways most people can't understand unless they've lived it. It is a space of unmaking, a time of internal death. It's the descent into the darkest corners of the self, not because you've done something wrong, but because something greater is calling you. The term dark night of the soul was first used by Saint John of the Cross, a 16th century Spanish mystic. In prison, he wrote about this spiritual crisis, a divine emptiness where the soul feels utterly abandoned by God. No light, no guidance, no comfort, only silence. But John understood something most of us miss. The silence is sacred. The darkness is part of the path, and the soul, even in its deepest agony, is being purified. Let me be clear. The dark night of the soul is not depression, though it may look like it. It is not a mental illness, though it may affect the mind. It is a spiritual initiation, a rite of passage. It is the part of the journey that no one talks about when they speak of love and light. It is the shadow behind the awakening. You don't choose it. You don't seek it. But one day, it arrives, usually when you least expect it, and almost always when you are ready. Even if you don't know you are, you might be wondering, why would any loving universe or divine force bring us into this kind of suffering? And that, too, is a sacred question, one that I hope we can gently explore together throughout this video. Because if you are here, if you're watching this, it probably means you are either in it, or you felt it, or you're standing at the threshold of it. And I want you to know, you are not crazy. You are not lost. You are not being punished. You are awakening. This video is not here to give you easy answers. There are none. But it is here to offer companionship, clarity, and compassion while we walk together through this dark and holy night. So, take a breath. Let the noise settle, and come with me into the mystery of the dark night of the soul. In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into what the dark night really is, how it feels, why it happens, and perhaps most importantly, what lies on the other side. But before we go further, let's begin by asking the simplest and most profound question of all. What is the soul, and why does it need to go through darkness to awaken? Before we can understand the dark night of the soul, we must first ask a deeper question. What is the soul? Is it your mind, your personality, your memories? No. Those are only shadows, reflections of something deeper. The soul is the quiet, timeless awareness beneath it all. It is the watcher behind your thoughts, the stillness behind your voice, the presence behind your name. The soul is not what you do. It is not what you own. It is not even what you believe. The soul simply is. It is light wrapped in mystery. It is consciousness trying to remember itself. And in this earthly life, it often forgets. We come into the world whole, but we forget. We take on roles, labels, stories, expectations. We build identities to survive. We wear masks to be accepted. We chase dreams that aren't really ours. And slowly, unknowingly, we begin to live from the outside in. And the soul buried deep within waits patiently for the moment you're ready to come back to it. That moment is usually not easy, because for the soul to awaken, everything that is not the soul must fall away. The old beliefs, the false identities, the illusions of control, the lies you told yourself just to feel safe, the pain you never fully felt, the masks you wore for love, all of it must come undone. And that undoing, that unraveling of the false self, that is the dark night. The dark night of the soul is not a punishment. It is not the universe turning its back on you. It is the soul's cry for truth, for authenticity, for freedom. It is the soul reclaiming itself by burning away everything it is not. This is why the dark night feels so terrifying, because it strips away all the things you thought made you you. Your job, your relationships, your beliefs, your ambitions. Suddenly, they feel meaningless, or they collapse entirely. You lose interest in what once excited you. You withdraw from people. You question everything, and you feel like you're standing in the middle of your own life as a stranger. But here's the paradox. You're not losing yourself. You're losing your illusions. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. The ego says, I'm dying, but the soul whispers, I'm being born. The truth is, we don't grow in the light alone. We grow in the darkness, in the silence, in the stillness where everything feels lost. The dark night is like winter for the soul, a sacred season of stillness where the seeds of awakening begin to stir underground. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but something is happening within you quietly, profoundly, beyond the reach of your mind. Why darkness is necessary. All great transformations require darkness. The butterfly doesn't become itself in the light it forms in the cocoon. Alone, silent, hidden, the baby doesn't grow in sunshine but in the womb, covered in mystery, fed by silence, wrapped in the unknown. The soul is no different. The dark night isn't your failure. It's your womb. It's your cocoon. It's the space where the soul turns inward, where it begins to remember. And just like birth, it is painful, it is messy, it is filled with fear, but it is holy. If you are walking through this darkness now, you may feel like nothing makes sense. You may feel like God, or the universe, or love itself has left you. You may feel like your soul is gone, but I promise you it's not gone. It's waking up. And just like the sun rises even after the longest night, so will you. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore what the dark night feels like, the emotions, the symptoms, the signs, not from textbooks or theory, but from the raw, lived experience of the soul. So if you're ready, come with me into the heart of the darkness, where the first light of awakening is just beginning to glow. Signs, symptoms, and what it feels like. If the soul is awakening, why does it feel like you're dying? Why does it feel like your world is collapsing? Your faith is disappearing, and you can't hold on to anything anymore. Because the dark night of the soul doesn't arrive with gentle whispers. It doesn't show up as peace or joy. It often begins as a storm, and you may not even know you're in it until the light goes out. Let's explore some of the most common signs and symptoms of a dark night of the soul. Not from a medical perspective, but from the inner experience of the soul breaking open. 1. A sudden sense of emptiness. One day, you wake up and nothing feels real. The things that used to bring you joy, music, books, people, even love, now feel distant, muted, empty. It's not boredom. It's not even sadness. It's a hollowing out, a quiet void inside you that seems to echo with the question, what is the point of all this? Number 2, loss of meaning. Everything loses its meaning. Your job, your hobbies, your goals. They all feel like fragments of a life you no longer recognize. You may start to question everything. Why am I here? What is real? What is truth? And perhaps most painfully, who am I really? There 3. Identity crisis. The masks begin to fall. You no longer resonate with the person you were, but you don't know who you're becoming. This is terrifying because the ego, your old self, doesn't want to die. It clings, it panics, it resists, and yet, the more you try to hold on, the more everything slips through your hands. This is the crumbling of the false self. 4. Deep loneliness and isolation. Even if you're surrounded by people, you feel alone. Utterly alone. Why? Because no one around you seems to understand what you're going through. You try to explain it, but there are no words. Only a silent ache inside you that longs for something deeper, truer, more real. 5. Exhaustion. Physical, mental, spiritual. You may find yourself sleeping more, or unable to sleep at all. You may feel drained, like something inside you is running a silent marathon every day. Because it is. The soul is working deeply, beneath your awareness, unraveling illusions, burning karma, shedding pain. This is not laziness. This is spiritual labor. 6. Heightened emotional sensitivity. You cry for no reason. You get overwhelmed by the smallest things. You may feel everything more intensely: grief, fear, love, even silence. This is not weakness. This is your heart softening, opening, feeling what it has long suppressed. 7. Intense questioning. Your mind becomes a battlefield of questions. What is God? Is there a purpose? Why is there suffering? Why me? Why now? These questions don't come for answers. They come to dismantle the walls around your truth. They come to take you deeper. 8. Letting go voluntarily or by force. In a dark night, you may find that life removes things from you: people, jobs, plans, even dreams. Sometimes gently, sometimes violently. You may fight it, you may mourn it, you may not understand it. But this letting go is not cruelty. It is clearing space for what is real. Natain, a longing for God, truth, or something greater. Perhaps the most beautiful and painful symptom, a longing that can't be named, a yearning for something more, but not knowing where to find it. You may feel abandoned by God, yet you can't stop reaching for the divine. This longing is the soul's compass, and it always points you home. All of these signs, the confusion, the pain, the silence, are not signs of failure. They are signs of transition. The dark night is not the end of your path. It's the part where you learn to walk not by sight, but by faith. Not faith in something outside of you, but faith in the process of becoming. So if you are here, if you are feeling this, if any of these signs speak to your soul, let me say it again, as gently and clearly as I can. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are walking through the sacred valley where all great awakenings begin. You are in the night, but the night has a purpose. In the next part of our journey, we will talk about what happens inside you when the false self dissolves, and why this spiritual death is not an end, but the beginning of your true life. Ego death and the collapse of the false self. In the darkest part of the dark night of the soul, there is a moment or many where you feel like you are dying. Not your body, not your heart, but you. The you that once moved through life with certainty. The you that had goals, beliefs, ambitions. The you that fit into the world's expectations. That version of you begins to dissolve. And what replaces it? Nothing. At least not yet. This is what many mystics and seekers call ego death. It is not violent, but it is shattering. Because the ego, our conditioned self, was our compass, our protection, our story. Even if that story was built on pain, What is the ego? Really, let's clarify something. The ego isn't evil. It's not the villain of your soul. It's simply the identity you created to navigate the world. It formed in childhood. It was shaped by your culture, your traumas, your triumphs. It gave you a name, a role, a sense of control. It helped you survive. But survival is not the same as truth. And at some point on the spiritual path, the soul can no longer live in a mask. It must become itself again. Pure, free, real. That's when the ego begins to collapse. You start to question your worth, not because you have none, but because your worth was based on things outside of you. You begin to lose interest in things you once craved approval, success, validation. You may feel stripped bare, like a snake shedding its skin but unsure of what lies beneath. The space between selves. There's a strange emptiness that comes with ego death. You no longer resonate with your past self, but your future self hasn't emerged yet. You are in between. Not this, not that, not old, not new, just void. It's uncomfortable, it's frightening, but it is also sacred, because in that emptiness, you are becoming real, letting go of false identity. The false self isn't just about how you dress or what you do. It's about the deeper identities you cling to. I am strong. I am successful. I am the caretaker. I am spiritual. I am broken. I am the victim. I am the achiever. I am the helper. I am the wise one. All of it, even the beautiful identities, are costumes. And the soul cannot awaken in a costume. So they fall away. Not always all at once, but piece by piece, gently or suddenly, through pain or surrender, through silence or storms. The false self dies, and the real self waits beneath. Resistance is natural. No one enjoys ego death. Your mind will fight it. You will grasp for something, anything to hold on to. Old habits may return. Old patterns may intensify. You might try to rebuild your former identity out of desperation. That's okay. Be gentle with yourself. This is part of the death. The ego will try to survive until it no longer can. And when it finally releases, you'll feel something strange. Not fear, not relief, but stillness. A silence you've never known before. And in that silence, you will meet the truth of who you are. What comes after? Ego death, not fireworks. Not angels, not instant enlightenment. What comes is space. Room for the soul to speak. Room for healing to begin. Room for new truths to take root. It is quiet. It is slow. But it is real. You'll start to rebuild not from ego, but from essence. Not from fear, but from love. The dark night takes what you were never meant to keep so that you can become what you were always meant to be. It removes who you thought you had to be, so you can remember who you truly are. This is ego death, and it is the greatest gift disguised as the greatest loss. So if you feel like you're dissolving, if you don't recognize yourself anymore, if you feel like you're losing it, please know you're not losing your mind, you're losing your mask. And what's underneath is beautiful. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the most profound turning point of the dark night, that moment, where, after all the darkness, something shifts. The rebirth, the return of light, the beginning of your true life. Stay with me. The night is not over yet, but dawn is near. Rebirth, what lies beyond the darkness. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no grand announcement. No sudden lightning bolt from the sky, but one day, after what feels like an eternity of darkness, you begin to feel it. A quiet warmth, a small flicker of peace, a whisper, soft but certain. You're still here, and something has changed. This is the moment after the dark night. This is what mystics call rebirth. Rebirth isn't a return to the person you were. It's not about getting your old self back, because that self is gone, and now you know why it had to be. This new you is still tender, still raw, but more real than you've ever known. You are not healed completely, but you are healing. You are not free from pain, but you are no longer afraid of it, because now you know something deeper. You can survive the dark, and more than that, you can grow inside it. What rebirth feels like. At first, it may feel like subtle shifts. You begin to feel gratitude again. You notice beauty in small things. You cry, not out of pain, but release. You laugh genuinely for the first time in a long while. You start to remember what it means to be alive, not as a role to perform, but as a presence to embody. Life doesn't feel like something happening to you. It feels like something moving through you, the emergence of the soul self. The person you become after a dark night isn't perfect. They are not enlightened in some wholly unreachable way, but they are awake to life, to truth, to love, to soul. You are no longer seeking God in temples or doctrines alone, but in the wind, in silence, in your breath, in the person sitting across from you. You are no longer trying to be spiritual. You simply are, because now your spirituality is not a belief. It's an experience. It's lived, embodied, authentic. What returns after the night? When the ego dies and the soul emerges, what comes back to you is not always what you expect. You may return to some of the same places, the same work, the same people, but you are no longer there in the same way. You show up more gently, more clearly, more honestly. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. You don't need to save everyone. You don't need to be someone. You're simply present. And that is enough. Life after the dark night. It's easy to think that after such a profound journey, life becomes perfect, that you'll live in peace forever, untouched by fear or doubt. But no, life still happens. Pain still comes. But now, you meet it differently. You don't collapse. You don't run. You don't numb yourself like before. You feel, you allow, you respond, not react. And perhaps most importantly, you trust, not in outcomes, but in the process, in your soul, in something greater than your mind can define. The power of integration rebirth. Is not just about the moment the light returns. It's about integrating what the darkness taught you. The silence showed you what mattered. The loneliness taught you how to be with yourself. The confusion stripped away your illusions. The pain opened your heart. You are no longer just a survivor of the dark night. You are a student of it, a carrier of its wisdom, and maybe one day, a guide for others walking their own dark valley. The dark night didn't destroy you. It refined you. It didn't take your light. It revealed the places where your light had been hiding. And now, you're not just alive. You are aware. You've died a little and been born again, not into someone new, but into someone true. You are not alone. Many have walked this path. Many are walking it now, and many more will follow. If you're just beginning, or somewhere in the middle, or emerging into the light, know this: you are part of something ancient and sacred. You are part of the soul's long journey back to itself. And every step, even the painful ones, are a step home. In the final part of this video, we'll bring it all together: the purpose of the dark night, how to navigate it with more grace, and how to support yourself or someone you love through it. Until then, breathe, rest, and remember, you are not lost. You are becoming. Integration, purpose, and moving forward. If you've walked with me through this journey from the emptiness to the collapse to the quiet rebirth, then you already know the dark night of the soul is not a curse. It is a calling, a deep, sacred call to return to the essence of who you truly are, not the version shaped by fear, ego, or the world's expectations, but the version shaped by truth, love, and soul. But now, a new question arises. How do you live after the dark night? How do you move forward once everything you knew has crumbled? That's what this final chapter is about, because the journey doesn't end when the darkness lifts. It begins again, in a more conscious, integrated way. 1. Integration. Honoring what you've learned. When you emerge from the dark night, you may be tempted to forget, to go back to normal, to rebuild quickly and pretend none of it happened. But something in you knows you can't go back, and you're not meant to. This part of the journey is about integration, welcoming the lessons the darkness gave you and weaving them gently into how you live, love, breathe, and serve. Ask yourself, donc, what did I learn about myself in the silence? What illusions am I no longer willing to live with? What new truths feel sacred to me now? What old wounds am I still healing slowly, gently? But with love, you don't need to rush the answers. Let them come, let them settle, let them change you, because that is the true gift of the dark night. Not just awakening, but transformation. 2. Living from the soul, not the ego. The ego wants control, it wants results, it wants certainty, but the soul wants depth, presence, surrender. After the dark night, you begin to live in a different rhythm, not driven by performance or perfection, but by inner alignment. You start to ask new questions. Does this path feel true? Am I acting from fear or from love? Am I honoring my boundaries, my values, my essence? You begin to say no to what drains you, and yes to what nourishes you. And that is a radical act of self-respect. Number 3. Helping others through their own night. One of the most powerful outcomes of surviving the dark night is this. You become a light for others still lost in the dark. You don't need to be a teacher, a healer, or a guru. You simply need to be real. You carry a stillness now, a compassion born from suffering that others can feel. And when they meet you, they feel less alone, less afraid, less broken, because your presence whispers what words cannot. I've been there too, and I made it through. Never underestimate what your journey means, not just for you, but for the world. Each soul that wakes up helps others remember they can too. Each life that heals creates space for collective healing. Each heart that chooses truth adds one more light to the night. And maybe that's the purpose after all. Number 4. Practices for staying connected to your soul. To stay aligned after the dark night, create sacred space in your life, not just spiritually, but practically. Here are a few practices that can help. Stillness. Spend time in quiet each day, even 5 minutes. Journaling. Let your soul speak through writing. No filters. Nature be near trees, water, sky. The earth is deeply healing. Authentic connection. Surround yourself with people who see the real you. Creative expression. Let beauty flow through you. Music. Words. Movement. Boundaries say no when your body says no. Rest. Honor your nervous system. Rest is sacred. These are not chores. They are ways of remembering you are a soul first. Number 5. If you ever enter another dark night, yes, it can happen again. Maybe not as intense, maybe not as long, but awakening is a spiral. You may return to darkness from time to time, but now you will recognize it. You'll know you're not being punished, you're being refined, and you'll remember you've done this before, and you are never alone. To everyone watching this, wherever you are in your journey, the beginning, the middle, or the gentle end, I want you to know you are not lost. You are not broken. You are awakening. Your darkness was not a detour. It was the doorway. And you had the courage to walk through it. So now, walk forward with softness, with truth, with soul, and carry your light with grace. The night taught you how to shine. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being real. Thank you for choosing to remember who you are. If this journey has touched something inside you, feel free to share it so that someone else may find their own light in the dark. We rise together and we return to soul.